My name is Gwen. I'm a local software developer, and I work at a couple local startups here in Indy. I also have an interest in conflict resolution, and I took a couple classes in nonviolent conflict and social struggle last year. So when you host or even attend events with people involved, there will inevitably be some kind of conflict or problem that occurs. Personally, I started hosting Meetup groups about 3.5 years ago. Also, as a conference speaker, I've been attending meetups and conferences for quite a few years. Of course, I've had many great experiences and also met a large variety of people in my travels, and they've taught me more than I could have ever learned on my own. Now, some people who I never knew before reached out to me, tried to help me, worked with me, gave me resources, and were really awesome. And I'm extremely grateful for this tech community and the speaker community as well that have helped me so much. But as I get more invested in this community and deeper into it all, I've also seen some troubling patterns emerge, particularly at conferences. Some people are judged prematurely, some are taken out of context, some are mislabeled with degrading terms, and I don't believe that the tech community can get better or more inclusive until these things are really addressed. So let me start with a story. I was in Nebraska a few years ago at a conference by myself, and I didn't really know too many people at that time. I'm also kind of quiet and shy, so I was mostly sitting by myself, eating by myself, and kind of wondering, oh, what if I approached this person and talked to them, but I didn't for the most part. So I really wanted to get to know people and connect with people, as many people do at conferences. So I eventually, after maybe on day 3, I met a few people, and I brought the situation up about how I really wanted to introduce myself, but I was too shy. And that person told me that I looked like I was going to be mean, and that was the reason that he didn't approach me before. Of course, I was shocked. I didn't think that I had a mean face or that I was going to attack anybody. This was a small incident, but the point is that we can look at someone and decide, oh, that's a mean person, or they're going to be snippy, or they're such and such, even though they're sitting by themselves and maybe really want to talk or really want to connect with someone. And that made me think, how many people do I judge that might be awesome, or that might really need someone to talk to? People who might be too shy or quiet. So since that time, I've really made an extra effort. If I see someone sitting alone, or maybe they look like they want to connect with people but don't know how, I've really made an effort, even though I'm shy, to go up to that person and start a conversation with them. And I've actually made some great friends from all over the place doing that. And I've realized that people are never really as scary as they are in my head before I meet them. So this was from a great book that I read last year, and I would wager, it's called The Hard Thing About Hard Things. I would wager that most of the time we are very wrong when we make snappy judgments about people. Of course, this incident was small, and there are plenty of more serious issues that have happened at conferences. So I'm going to bring up a somewhat controversial topic in the Python community. It's something that happened 5 or 6 years ago, and on the internet it's known as Donglegate. So for anyone who doesn't know, I'm not talking about Apple's products or dongles that connect to your computer. It was actually about crude jokes that were overheard at a tech conference. So this particular issue and how it was handled has been already argued about for about 5 years online, so I'm not going to do that now. But let's say we don't have a horse in the race and we're just an observer, or we overhear someone say something inappropriate near us. What's the appropriate response? Of course, the best thing to do is to not make the inappropriate joke in the first place. But besides that, let's say we overhear it, and should we A, take a deep breath calm down and try to talk to the offenders. That seems like a good option. B, bring up the event with conference organizers. That might also be appropriate. Or C, should we get very angry and publicly shame them on social media? What? So each one of these is an escalation of the former, and it's pretty obvious what the right thing to do is. So when we make a decision, we have to consider our goal. Our goal is of doing the right thing to make a better, more inclusive community, and so that these things don't keep happening. Experts on shame agree that it is not a good way of getting people to understand or change their behaviors. It might relieve a strong emotion, such as anger, if we're very angry that this person did something, but it doesn't really resolve the problem, and it can even make it worse down the line. It's not the best option to just shame people. It can at best make us feel better, and at worst it divides us and makes us lose potential allies in the community. So how can we be better? This isn't and shouldn't be about getting likes or clicks or outrage or showing how woke we are, as people say. The number one most important thing is that it has to be about people. It has to be about the humans involved in the conflict and how we can get them to improve. Our community is growing more diverse, and we should fight to keep it an inclusive space. So we have to differentiate between people who are being malicious or even maybe criminal and people who didn't mean to offend someone. For example, what if someone is mentally ill or has a social disorder or maybe made a mistake and they can be educated to do better? According to the group, Open Sourcing Mental Illness, they do surveys about mental illness in the tech community, a relatively high percentage of tech workers suffer from a mental illness. And this is a very serious thing to consider when resolving conflicts. I've been reading a lot of Gene Sharp's work, and he's a prolific nonviolent activist and has written a lot about conflict and resolution. He says that conflict is not to be avoided, but should be engaged. So it's not appropriate to lash out in anger. Of course, people do this all the time, particularly on Twitter. But it also can't be avoided. Problems should be addressed and engaged immediately. So how do we address problems? By talking as humans to each other, by communicating, by finding out why the problem occurred, and talking to organizers and appropriate staff when we should. Genuinely listening and trying to understand and coming up with a solution. Yeah. So this is one of my all-time favorite books, and it's really, it's full of amazing material for how to resolve problems and for listening and genuinely trying to understand people. People that maybe we never thought could be allies might just come out and join us if we hear them out and genuinely express our concerns. Maybe they did something we didn't like, we should tell them. And we should tell them without judgment. Self-control and staying calm and giving people the benefit of the doubt, these are all the kind of things I'm working on as an event organizer and trying to be a better conference participant and also as a human. And I hope that as a community, we can all work on resolving conflict without prematurely judging people together. Thank you.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Gwen?
First, Gwen, thank you. I see you at all the, especially new person-friendly meetups, you know, with Free Co-Camp and everything. I'm always impressed by your activity in the community. But what I wanted to hear, if you wanted to share, is can you give us an example of as you have gained a more insightful presence on these issues, have you seen these resolves move forward at all, or have you had a personal experience where, with your knowledge, you're able to address these problems more intelligently?
So I have had a few problems. I run one of the meetup groups I run is called Free Code Camp Indy. We cater to new developers, try to get them out of the basement and collaborate with each other. we've had a few problems where people would start arguing about nothing that had to do with technology. Yeah, and I would say in the beginning, I would just kind of avoid it or maybe start arguing with them, and it was a very, very poor strategy. And more recently, there are a couple people in the group that we'll all get together if there's a problem and discuss how to handle it more appropriately, because I feel like I was acting too emotionally about a situation, or I was too emotionally charged. When I blocked one person in particular from our group for posting some things, now I feel like I should have talked to him a bit more. So I think now that I've been looking into this stuff, I do try to talk a little bit before I just immediately snap to a decision about someone, yeah.